So
we will. We'll make one about soft shackles. So you need about that much to make the knot. That's a little bit slim. It would a little bit more, so you can actually see what the knot's doing. So this is going to be the finished dimension of the soft shackle. Pretty small, but that's okay. Small ones are useful too. So we start off by making one leg a little bit longer than the other, because when we bury this leg inside of this leg, it's going to become shorter. And if we guess exactly right, they'll come out even. Anyway, so we start out by putting the long end to the short end up here to make that eye. And so it's the long end going through the short. Now we're going to put the long end through the short again, a little bit further down, far enough so that the eye can open up big enough to let the diamond knot pass through. It'll be right about here. Oops. We'll make sure you get the wand going through the center, so you have 6 threads on each side. Not that it makes any difference from a strength issue, it just looks better. Now we're going to bury the short end inside the long end. So we'll come down here, and we want about that much leg left to make our diamond knot. So that's the point where we're going to enter the long side. Oops. We just pass the wand through the center, being careful not to snag anything, and come out right at that crossover. Make the bury. I think this end was actually cut with a hot knife instead of with the scissors. That makes it a little stiff and reluctant. No, I caught a string. See that it's pulling the eye shut, so it caught on one of the fibers in here. It caught on that fiber right there. It was pulling it in. You'll have that sometimes. Anyway, my leg's about that long. Try again. Enter here. Exit at that crossover. Doesn't feel too crunchy. See if we can make it a little bit smaller so it's a little bit easier to slide through there. We can also open that up just a fuzz. But now that the rope has been disturbed, it's a little bit harder to work every time. pull those apart, and then we're going to milk that down. Make it tight. At that point, at the exit point, we're going to bury the cover inside the core, you could call it, even though it's not actually a cover in the core. So we're going to enter right there at that crossover. And I want that there. One more. Can you give me one more? That's better. One last time, we pass the long end through the short end. Milk it down to the crossover. That crossover, the last crossover, is just to lock it all in place. So now we've got, that's the setup, that's the bulk of it. These two, so you can open it and close it. This method, you don't, a lot of soft shackles just make a loop and then bury, and you have to sort of milk the cover over the core to get it to open or close. But this is much easier to deal with because you just only have to open that much and then it closes right away. And yeah, they're better design. And my legs didn't end up being the same length, but we don't care. So to make the setup for the diamond knot, we'll do it with a longer piece of string. It would be a lot easier to see what the fuck's going on.
Ready.
So that's the setup. These are the two legs. Underneath the bitter end, I believe that's what I was doing wrong. Underneath everything at first. Then we're going to go over those two standing legs. Underneath this bitter end again. No, I'm doing it wrong, aren't I? No, that's right. Okay. And that's what we end up with. The trying to hold those legs so they're together. So it's a symmetrical shape, and what you're looking for is this hole in the middle. And we're going to take this bitter end, go around, we keep going around in the same direction, go around that leg and come up through. This bitter end goes around the other leg and comes up through. And there is the diamond knot. Now all we need to do is spin it around and pull the slack out. Normally when we do that one, then there's the splice is right there, so we pull that tight, and then you just keep going around in the same direction, tightening the knot. Oops, that one, the next. Around and around and around. So this one that you can't really see, there's the hole in the middle. I'm going to come up through with that leg, come around and up through with this leg. Sometimes when they get pretty short, it helps to stick something down through the middle so you can figure out where it's supposed to come back up. So then start tightening it. Run around, always the same direction. This is a good knot for this application because Dyneema is very slippery stuff, and unless you make a lot of turns, you don't build up enough friction for the knot to stay in place. This isn't all that I filed down that broke, so we filed it down smooth so I can. And then we finish it off in the vise. First, pry that knot up. And then hit it. And then each leg individually to get that knot really tight. And then the hot knife. There it is. Now, kind of a nice way to turn a $2 piece of rope into, well, you pay $50 for that in stainless. Right?